Thanks for being here. Subscribe to Cheating Stories Best, so you don't miss new stories.
Ethan Reeves wiped his hands on a greasy rag, the sharp scent of motor oil clinging to his skin like a second layer. The '67 Mustang gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights of the high auto restoration shop. He glanced at his watch. 8:45 p.m. Olivia would be wondering where he was. As if on cue, his phone buzzed. A message from his wife. Working late. Don't wait up. Ethan's jaw clenched. Third time this week. He typed back a terse, okay, then tossed the phone onto the workbench with more force than necessary. The drive home was a blur of streetlights and spiraling thoughts. When he pulled into the driveway, the house was dark. Olivia's car was gone. Inside, Ethan poured himself a whiskey neat. He sank into his favorite armchair, the leather creaking under his weight. The house felt too quiet, too empty. His eyes drifted to Olivia's open laptop on the coffee table. He knew he should not, but the whiskey dulled his restraint. Leaning forward, he tapped the spacebar, waking the screen. A string of emails appeared. Nothing overtly incriminating, but the tone of her exchanges with a coworker felt off. Too familiar. Too focused. The sound of a key in the front door made him snap the laptop shut. Olivia breezed in, cheeks flushed, hair slightly disheveled. "Oh, you're still up," she said, surprise coloring her voice. "I thought I told you not to wait." Ethan forced a smile. "Just got in myself. Busy day at the shop." She nodded, distracted. Her phone chimed, and she glanced at it, a small smile tugging at her lips, quickly hidden as she turned away. "I'm beat," she announced, already heading upstairs. "Don't stay up too late." As her footsteps faded, Ethan's expression darkened. The seed of suspicion, once planted, had begun to take root. Over the following weeks, Ethan became hyper-aware of Olivia's every move. Strange phone calls at odd hours became routine. She would step out onto the porch, speaking in hushed tones. When asked, she brushed it off with a tight smile. Just work stuff. The work emergencies multiplied, late nights at the office, sudden weekend meetings. Each excuse chipped away at Ethan's trust. One evening, while Olivia was in the shower, Ethan sat staring at her purse. Temptation gnawed at him. Finally, with a deep breath, he reached in and pulled out her wallet. Inside, he found their shared credit card statement. His heart pounded as he scanned the charges, upscale restaurants he had never heard of, hotel bookings in the city. The sound of the shower shutting off jolted him back. He shoved the statement back into the wallet, returned it to her purse, and hurried out of the room. That night, lying beside her as she slept, Ethan made a decision. He had crossed a line, but something was undeniably wrong. The next day, during his lunch break, he purchased a GPS tracker. His hand shook slightly as he installed it beneath Olivia's dashboard. The guilt of invading her privacy warred with his need for the truth. For a week, Ethan monitored her movements. Most were normal: her office, the gym, the grocery store. But one pattern stood out: frequent visits to an affluent neighborhood across town, always during her supposed late nights at work. The final blow came when he checked their online banking. A series of large transfers had been made from their joint account to one he did not recognize. Ethan's fists clenched. He needed answers, and fast. The business card felt heavy in his hand. Mia Chun, private investigator. Her office was tucked inside a nondescript building downtown, the kind of place you would walk past 100 times without noticing. Mia was sharp and all business. Her dark eyes were steady as Ethan explained his suspicions. "I will need a week," she said. "Maybe 2. I will be discreet." Ethan nodded, swallowing hard. "Just find the truth. Whatever it is." The next 10 days were agony. Ethan went through the motions at work, but his mind never left the investigation. He barely slept, lying awake beside Olivia, wondering if she was dreaming of another man. When Mia finally called, her voice was grave. "I have what you need. Meet me at my office." The manila envelope she slid across her desk felt like it weighed a ton. Ethan opened it with trembling hands. Inside were high-resolution photographs. Olivia, laughing over wine at a candlelit restaurant. Olivia, entering a hotel, a tall man's arm wrapped around her waist. Olivia, kissing that same man passionately in an elevator. "His name is Dr. Nathail Hawthorne," Mia said softly. "He is a neurosurgeon at St. Mary's Hospital." Ethan's blood ran cold. He recognized the name. Olivia had mentioned him once, casually, as a new doctor at her firm's biggest client. "I am sorry," Mia added, her tone sincere. Ethan gave a tight nod, gathering the photos. "You did your job. Thank you." The drive home was a blur. His thoughts replayed every moment of the last few months through this terrible new lens. How long had this been going on? How could he have been so blind? Olivia was in the kitchen, humming as she chopped vegetables for dinner. She looked up with a smile that faded the instant she saw his face. "Ethan, what's wrong?" He slammed the envelope onto the counter. "Care to explain?" Her face went pale. Silence fell. Then her expression hardened. "You had me followed? How dare you invade my privacy like that?" Ethan laughed bitterly. "Your privacy? That's rich, coming from someone who's been lying to my face for who knows how long." "It's not what you think," Olivia began. "Do not," he snapped. "Do not even try to gaslight me. I have seen it with my own eyes." Her composure crumbled. "Ethan, please. We can work through this. It was a mistake. I swear." But he was not listening. His eyes had fallen on her phone, screen lit up with a new message from Nate. Something inside Ethan snapped. He picked up the phone, ignoring Olivia's protests, and read aloud, "Worried about the investigation. Think your husband's onto us." Olivia's silence said it all. Ethan placed the phone back on the counter with deliberate care. "I am going for a drive," he said. "Do not wait up." Behind him, he heard her voice rise on the phone, probably warning her lover. Let her. It no longer mattered. Ethan drove for hours, betrayal burning through him like acid. By the time he returned, long past midnight, the hurt had calcified into something else, something colder. A plan had begun to form. Olivia slept peacefully in their bed. In the moonlight, she still looked beautiful. Ethan felt a flicker of the love he once had for her, quickly extinguished by a wave of rage. He would not confront her. Not yet. For now, he would play the fool, the trusting husband. And all the while, he would be planning for the day he would make them both pay. Nature, it seemed, had a cruel sense of timing. 3 days after Ethan's world collapsed, the skies opened. Rain lashed against windows, wind tore through trees, and the usually calm river that ran through town became a raging force of destruction. Ethan stood in the doorway of the shop, watching muddy water creep closer. Most of the neighboring businesses had already evacuated. Ethan, his boss, Frank, shouted over the wind. "We have to go, son. It's not safe." Ethan nodded, taking one last look at the classic cars he had spent years restoring. The '67 Mustang gleamed under the emergency lights, moments away from being swallowed by the flood. As they drove to higher ground, Ethan's phone buzzed, a message from Olivia. "Are you safe? The hospital is evacuating non-critical patients. I'm helping coordinate. Might be late." He replied, "I'm fine," then tossed the phone aside. Let her worry. It was the least she deserved. The next few days were chaos. The flood ravaged the town, leaving devastation in its wake. Ethan's shop was hit hard. Water and mud had destroyed years of labor and hundreds of thousands of dollars in classic cars. When the waters finally receded, the extent of the damage became painfully clear. Frank stood amid the wreckage, his face pale. I do not know if we can come back from this, Ethan. The insurance, it might not be enough. I might have to close up for good." Ethan felt a knot form in his gut. The shop had been his entire life. Now, it was just another casualty in a year of loss. That evening, he sat at the kitchen table, buried in insurance forms and damage reports. Olivia moved around him, fussing, making coffee. "Maybe this is a sign," she said softly. "Maybe we should think about moving. Starting fresh, somewhere new." Ethan looked up sharply. For a split second, he thought he saw guilt in her eyes. Was she saying this out of remorse? Or was it her chance to be closer to her lover? Then a thought struck him. A move could work in his favor. It would give him time, space, freedom to put his plan into motion. "You know what?" he said, forcing a smile. "Maybe you were right. A fresh start could be just what we need." Olivia's relief was instant. She reached across the table, squeezing his hand. "We'll get through this together, honey. I promise." Ethan squeezed back, his smile steady. "Yes," he said. "We will." Olivia had no idea. While she slept beside him at night, Ethan researched new identities, offshore banking methods, and ways to disappear without a trace. All the while, he played the part of the devoted husband. He listened to Olivia's empty promises to work on their marriage, nodded along during talks of couples therapy, and even managed to whisper, "I love you," when necessary, but the words tasted like ash in his mouth. One night, as Olivia slept soundly, Ethan felt an old pull toward her laptop. This time, he did not hesitate. He needed information, ammunition for what was to come. What he found made his blood boil. Email after email between Olivia and Nathail, flowery declarations of love, explicit descriptions of their encounters. But it was the financial records that truly caught his attention. Olivia had been siphoning money from their joint account into a private one. Thousands of dollars, meant for their future, now funneled into a life with another man. Ethan's hands trembled as he copied the account details. This was it. The final piece. With this, he could destroy them both financially, professionally, and personally. As he closed the laptop, a chilling calm settled over him. The path ahead was clear now. Olivia and Nathail thought they were clever, thought they were in control, but they had no idea what was coming. He slipped back into bed beside her, his mind racing. The perfect storm had given him the perfect opportunity. Now, all he had to do was wait. Ethan Reeves sat in the dark, the blue glow of his laptop illuminating his face. His fingers moved quickly over the keyboard, crafting a digital persona with the precision of a master forger. Alex Sterling, venture capitalist extraordinaire, was coming to life. He had always been good with computers, a hobby that had taken a back seat to his mechanical work. Now, that hidden skill had become the linchpin of his revenge. LinkedIn profile? Check. A carefully curated Twitter feed? Done. A sleek website for Sterling Ventures, complete with glowing testimonials from shell companies? Perfect. Ethan leaned back, admiring his creation. Alex Sterling was everything Ethan Reeves was not: wealthy, connected, and passionate about cutting-edge medical technology. The perfect bait for a certain ambitious neurosurgeon. He glanced at the clock. 3:47 a.m. Olivia would be waking soon, getting ready for her early hospital shift, headed straight to her lover. Ethan's jaw tightened. Patience. That was the heart of this plan. Patience and precision. He navigated to Dr. Nathail Hawthorne's professional networking profile. His cursor hovered over the connect button. This was it. The first domino. Click. Across town, in a luxurious penthouse apartment, Nathail's phone buzzed. He groaned and reached for it blindly in the dark. Olivia stirred beside him. What is it? She mumbled. Nothing. Darling, he whispered. Go back to sleep. Nathail squinted at the screen. A connection request from someone named Alex Sterling. The name was unfamiliar, but the profile intrigued him. CEO of Sterling Ventures, specializing in medical technology investments. Nathail's heart quickened. This could be the break he had been waiting for. He accepted the request without hesitation, already crafting his pitch in his mind. Back in his home office, Ethan allowed himself a small, grim smile as the acceptance notification popped up. Hook, line, sinker. Over the next few weeks, Alex and Nathail exchanged dozens of messages. Ethan played the role to perfection, expressing interest in Nathail's work, asking insightful questions, dangling the promise of significant funding just out of reach. Olivia noticed the change. Nathail became distracted, constantly checking his phone, staying late at the lab. Is everything all right? She asked one evening over dinner at their favorite upscale restaurant, the same one Ethan had seen in Mia's photos. Nathail's eyes sparkled. Better than all right. I may have found an investor for my project. If this goes through, Olivia, we are talking millions. It could change everything. Olivia's heart swelled. This was it. A way forward. A new beginning. That's wonderful, Nate. Tell me everything. As Nathail launched into an enthusiastic explanation of neural interfaces and revolutionary therapies, Ethan sat alone in his home office, listening to every word through the bug he had planted in Olivia's purse. His fists clenched with quiet fury. Soon, he thought. Soon they will know just how fast dreams can become ashes. The next day, Alex sent Nathail a proposal, a chance to fast-track his research, to push the boundaries of what was possible. There was only one condition: bend a few rules, skirt a few ethical guidelines. Nathail hesitated. It was risky. If anyone found out, it would ruin him. But the potential rewards. With trembling fingers, he replied, I'm in. Ethan leaned back in his chair, a wolfish grin spreading across his face. The trap was set. Dr. Melissa Chung, head of the medical ethics board at St. Mary's Hospital, frowned at her screen. The anonymous email she had received was detailed, disturbingly so. Allegations of unethical practices, patient safety violations, forged consent forms, all pointing to one of their most celebrated surgeons, Dr. Nathail Hawthorne. Melissa had always had her doubts about him. Brilliant, yes, but arrogant, reckless. With a sigh, she picked up the phone. Sarah, get me the hospital administrator. We need to launch an investigation. Immediately. Nathaniel's world unraveled fast. His phone buzzed relentlessly. The ethics board, hospital administration, even the state's medical licensing board, all demanding answers he did not have. Olivia appeared in his office, her face pale. "Nate, what's going on?" "People are whispering all over the hospital." "I do not know," he lied. "Someone is accusing me of God." "Olivia, it's bad. Falsifying data. Endangering patients. They're saying I violated every guideline." "That is not true," she whispered. "Tell me it is not." Nathaniel looked away. "I may have pushed a few boundaries, but it was for the greater good. With Alex's help, we were so close to a breakthrough." Olivia's stomach turned. "Alex, the investor?" Before he could answer, his phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. "Check your email." With trembling hands, Nathaniel opened his inbox. His blood froze. In his sent folder, a message addressed to the ethics board, the hospital administration, and several local news outlets. A confession, complete with photos of him and Olivia, in his office, in call rooms, intimate, damning. "No," he whispered. "No, no, no." Olivia peered over his shoulder. Her face turned ghostly white. How? The pieces clicked into place. Ethan. But how had he orchestrated all of this? Across town, in a dim internet cafe, Ethan hit send on the final email. The dominoes had fallen faster than even he anticipated. He had underestimated how quickly Nathaniel would compromise his ethics. A few keystrokes, a couple of well-timed system updates, and Ethan had gained access to everything. Emails, messages, even webcam footage. The photos? Pure luck. He never imagined they would be so careless. Their arrogance had done half the work for him. Now it was time for the final blow. Olivia's phone buzzed. A notification from her banking app. With shaking hands, she opened it, already knowing what she would find. The secret account she had been funding for months, emptied. Every dollar gone. A text message followed. "Thought you could hide it from me. Game over, Olivia. I want a divorce." Olivia's legs buckled. She collapsed to the floor of Nathaniel's office. Her world was crumbling. Nathaniel sat frozen, his phone still ringing. The hospital administrator demanding he report for questioning. As sirens wailed in the distance, Olivia finally saw the truth of her decisions. She had thrown away a good man, a good life. For what? A fantasy built on lies. And now, it was all reduced to dust. The garage was quiet, save for the occasional clink of metal. Ethan wiped sweat from his brow and stepped back to admire his handiwork. The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights. To the untrained eye, it was just a beautifully restored classic. But every inch had been modified. A reinforced gas tank, hidden compartments, a top-tier GPS scrambler, a covert communication system. This was not a car. It was an escape. Ethan, no, Gabriel Foster, according to the new driver's license, ran his hand along the smooth fender. In another life, he would have built this car for the love of it. Now, it was a tool. It was freedom. At 2:17 a.m., the Camaro purred to life. Gabriel eased it out of the garage, the street still and empty before dawn. He passed Olivia's house one last time. The for sale sign flickered in his headlights. He had left instructions for the proceeds to be donated to a children's hospital. Another red herring. No loose ends. No notes. Let them wonder. Let them sit in the uncertainty he had lived with for months. As the town limits faded in his rearview mirror, a strange peace settled over him. Ethan Reeves was gone. Gabriel Foster pressed the accelerator. The Camaro roared. He never looked back. Rumors of foul play, whispers of a vanishing act, even speculation about witness protection. Olivia found herself at the center of a relentless storm of gossip and judgment. The scandal of her affair with Dr. Hawthorne had leaked, and it only fueled the fire. Every pitying glance, every conversation that abruptly stopped the moment she entered a room, was a fresh, humiliating reminder of the choices she had made. Desperate for answers, Olivia tried to access the hidden account she had been quietly building, hoping to hire a private investigator to track down Ethan. But it was gone, emptied without a trace. Every last dollar vanished. She was left with nothing but questions, silence, and a deepening pool of regret. Nathaniel offered no comfort. His career was in ruins, his reputation shattered, and potential criminal charges loomed. The confident, charismatic man who had once swept Olivia off her feet had deteriorated into someone bitter, withdrawn, and defeated. The passion that once sparked between them had withered into silence and resentment. Now, alone in their nearly empty house, surrounded by for sale signs and half-packed boxes, Olivia sat still and hollow. The walls that once echoed with warmth now felt cold and foreign. The life she had gambled everything for had collapsed around her. And in the deafening quiet, the weight of her choices crashed down with brutal clarity. She had thrown away a good man, a steady, loyal life. And for what? A fantasy that had never truly existed. Rumors of foul play. Whispers of witness protection. Olivia found herself at the center of a storm of gossip and speculation. The details of her affair with Dr. Hawthorne had leaked, adding fuel to the fire. Every pitying glance, every hushed conversation that fell silent the moment she walked into a room, it was all a fresh torment. She tried to access the hidden account she had been quietly building, hoping to hire a private investigator to track down Ethan. But the account was empty, cleaned out without a trace. She was left with nothing but regret and unanswered questions. Nathail was no help. His career was in ruins, and he now faced potential criminal charges. The passion that had once drawn Olivia to him had curdled into bitterness and self-pity. As she sat alone in their now empty house, surrounded by for sale signs and packed boxes, Olivia felt the full weight of her choices crush her. She had thrown away a good man, a good life. For what? A fantasy that had crumbled like a house of cards. For the first time, she allowed herself to consider the possibility that Ethan's disappearance was not about escape. It had been precise, methodical, the kind of dismantling only someone with a plan could execute. This was not flight. This was revenge, served cold and calculated. Olivia shivered, wrapping her arms around herself. Wherever Ethan was, whatever he had become, she had a sinking feeling it was far from over. Miles away, on a winding mountain road, Gabriel Foster smiled as the city came into view. The Camaro purred beneath him, devouring the miles. A new life awaited, and with it, the next phase of his plan. The growl of a finely tuned engine echoed through the cavernous workshop as Gabriel eased a gleaming 1970 Dodge Challenger onto the lift. He killed the ignition, the silence broken only by the ping of cooling metal. It had been 5 years since he left behind the name Ethan Reeves. 5 years of building a new identity from the ground up. Gabriel Foster, classic car restoration expert, was now a respected figure in a small Colorado town. His business thrived, his reputation was impeccable. As he wiped his hands on a rag and surveyed the shop, he felt the peace that had eluded him for so long. The crunch of gravel outside pulled him from his thoughts. Probably Mrs. Hadley coming to check on her husband's prized Mustang. Gabriel pasted on his usual customer service smile and turned toward the door. The smile froze. The young man who entered could not have been older than 20. Shaggy brown hair. Intense green eyes. Gabriel's stomach lurched. It was like staring at a ghost of his younger self. "Can I help you?" he managed, keeping his voice steady. The young man scanned the shop before locking eyes with Gabriel. "Are you Ethan Reeves?" The name hit like a physical blow. "I think you have the wrong. Don't lie to me," the kid snapped. "I know who you are. I've spent years tracking you down." Gabriel's mind raced. What had he missed? What breadcrumb had led this boy to him? "My name's Lucas," the young man said, voice tight. "I'm your son." The world tilted. Ethan, because who was he kidding anymore? Gripped the workbench to stay upright. A son? No. Olivia had never been pregnant. Had she? "That's not possible," he said, his voice brittle. Lucas laughed bitterly. "Yeah, that's what Mom said you'd say." Deadbeat dad, denying everything. Anger surged through Ethan. Of course Olivia would do this. One last twisted dagger in his back. "How old are you?" he asked, buying time. 21 next month. The math did not add up. That would put Lucas's birth in 2003, years before he had even met Olivia. The realization hit. This was not a plea for reconnection. This was a setup. "What do you want, Lucas?" The bravado slipped. "Mom's sick. Cancer. The treatments are expensive, and I'm trying to stay in college. We need help. You owe us that much." Ethan almost laughed at the audacity. "And if I say no?" Lucas's jaw clenched. "Then I go to the police. See you for back child support. Make sure everyone knows what kind of man Ethan Reeves really is." Ethan did laugh this time, a bitter, humorless sound. "You have no idea what kind of man Ethan Reeves really is. But I'll tell you what, come back tomorrow. I'll have something for you." Lucas blinked, thrown off. "You're not denying it? Tell your mother you found me. Noon tomorrow. We settle this then. Lucas hesitated, then nodded and left. As the sound of his car faded, Ethan pulled out a phone he had not used in years. Mia, it's me, Gabriel. I need one more favor. The next day, Lucas stood in the workshop at precisely noon. His eyes scanned the rows of cars, the scattered tools. He looked like he was searching for a father he had never known. Sit, Ethan said, gesturing to a pair of office chairs. Lucas obeyed. Ethan held a manila envelope. Before we start, I want to say I'm sorry, he said. Lucas's eyes lit up with hope. I'm sorry that your mother used you. I'm sorry for what I'm about to show you. Because it's going to hurt. But you deserve the truth. He handed over the paper. Lucas scanned it. What is this? DNA results. One of the top labs in the country. It proves I'm not your biological father. Lucas went pale, then red. You faked this. You're just weaseling out. Think, Lucas. You said you were born in 2003. I didn't meet your mother until 2016. We married in 2018. The timeline doesn't work. Lucas's breath hitched. But Mom said she lied. She's been lying to you for a long time. Lucas slumped. Why would she do that? Ethan exhaled. That's a story I'm not sure you're ready for. But you need to hear it. Over the next hour, Ethan told him everything. The affair, the betrayal, the revenge. Every ugly detail. Lucas listened, stunned. When Ethan finished, Lucas whispered, So who is my father? Ethan's voice was heavy. Based on everything I know, it's likely Dr. Nathail Hawthorne. Lucas's face contorted. Mom's boss? The man she's been with, since before you left? Yes. I'm sorry, Lucas. Lucas stood, pacing. She told me you abandoned us. I hated you my whole life. And now you know the truth. It isn't easy, but it's better than living a lie. Lucas turned to him, eyes wet. What do I do now? Mom's dying. I don't know who I am anymore. Ethan placed a hand on his shoulder. You are still you. Talk to Dr. Hawthorne. Talk to your mother. And don't let their mistakes define you. Lucas nodded. Wait, Ethan said, grabbing his checkbook. He wrote a check and handed it over. It should cover your next semester. This isn't your fault. You shouldn't suffer for what we did. Lucas stared at it. Thank you. I don't know what to say. You don't have to say anything. Just live well. When Lucas left, Ethan felt every year of his life pressing down. The revenge he had built, the life he had rebuilt, it suddenly felt heavy. Maybe he had gone too far, but it was done. Or so he thought. The call came 6 months later. Autumn had settled in. Ethan was deep in the engine of a '65 Shelby Cobra when the phone buzzed. An unfamiliar voice. A doctor. Olivia was dying. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And she was asking for him. He almost said no. Almost. But something in him said otherwise. He drove back to the hometown he had once fled, the ghosts of his past rising with every mile. St. Mary's Hospital loomed. Room 437. Olivia lay in bed, barely more than a shadow of the woman he had once loved. Tubes, wires, beeping monitors. She opened her eyes as he approached. Ethan, she rasped. You came. I came. A long silence. I'm sorry, she said. For everything. I know it doesn't change anything, but I needed you to hear it. It doesn't change anything, Ethan replied. I've lost everything. Nathail left when the money ran out. Lucas won't speak to me. Not since he found out. And whose fault is that? You lied. You used your own son. Did you really think there wouldn't be consequences? She turned away. I was selfish. I'm paying for it. We all are. Ethan's anger cracked. Do you know what you did to me? To have everything you believed in ripped away? She met his gaze. I think I do now. Poetic justice, he muttered. You reap what you sow. Is that why you're here? To watch me suffer? He could have said yes, but he shook his head. No, I came because, once, we had something, and I needed to know it wasn't all a lie. She reached out a trembling hand. He hesitated, then took it. It wasn't all a lie, she whispered. I did love you. Maybe not enough. Maybe not the right way. But I did. He nodded. After a long silence, he stood. Will you come back? She asked, panic in her voice. I don't know, he said honestly. This is goodbye, Olivia. Thank you, she whispered. For coming. For everything. He paused at the door. Goodbye, Olivia. I hope you find peace. As Ethan walked out of the hospital, something lifted. The thirst for revenge was gone. In its place was a hollow quiet. A final ending. He climbed into the Camaro. As he drove away, he glanced at the mirror. The man looking back was neither Ethan Reeves nor Gabriel Foster. He was someone new, someone forged in betrayal and refined by justice. And as the town faded in his rearview mirror, he realized something. The end of his revenge was not the end of his story. It was only the beginning.